In a small, lively village, excitement filled the air. The annual Kite Festival had finally arrived. The sky was already dotted with colors: blues, reds, yellows, and purples, dancing like butterflies against the wind. Children ran through the streets, pulling their kites, their laughter echoing through every lane. Among them was Arshman. His heart was racing with anticipation. In his hands, he held the biggest, brightest kite of them all. It was painted in bold shades of red and blue, with golden tassels at its edges. Just looking at it made him feel proud. He whispered to himself, "This is it. Today, my kite will fly higher than all the others. Everyone will see it shining in the sky." Arshman's friends crowded around, their kites smaller but neatly tied. One of them teased, "Wow, Arshman, your kite looks like a king's banner. But let's see if it can actually fly." Arshman grinned confidently. "Just wait. Mine will soar above all of yours." But in his excitement, Arshman made a mistake. He rushed. Instead of carefully tying the string, checking the knots, and testing the frame, he tied it quickly, his fingers moving fast. He didn't want to waste time preparing. He only wanted to win. The festival began in full spirit. Children cheered as their kites rose into the sky. The air was alive with colors fluttering, strings tugging, and voices shouting encouragement. Arshman ran with his kite, the wind catching it at once. His kite shot upward like an arrow, higher than the others. He laughed loudly. "Look, mine is already the highest." Indeed, his kite stood tall, dominating the sky. For a moment, he felt invincible. His chest swelled with pride. But then, snap! The string broke. The kite shuddered, then twisted helplessly. Within seconds, it spiraled downward, tumbling, flipping, and finally crashing hard into the dirt. Arshman froze. His smile vanished. His face turned red with anger. "No, this is unfair. My kite was the best one. Why did this happen?" His friends shook their heads. One of them said softly, "It doesn't matter how bright or big a kite looks, Arshman. If the knots are weak, it cannot last." Their words stung. Frustrated and embarrassed, Arshman threw the reel aside and stomped his foot. He sat on a rock, arms crossed, refusing to play anymore. Around him, the sky filled with kites, soaring, fighting, dancing. But not his. From a short distance away, his grandfather sat quietly on a wooden stool. In his hands, he held an old, faded kite, patiently repairing it with thin strips of paper and careful knots. His wrinkled fingers moved slowly but steadily, every motion calm. He had watched everything. Now, he called out gently, "Arshman, come here, my boy." Reluctantly, Arshman walked over. His eyes were still clouded with anger and disappointment. Grandfather looked at him kindly. "Tell me, do you know why your kite fell?" Arshman scowled. "Because the wind was bad." The old man chuckled softly, shaking his head. "No, Arshman. The wind is never to blame. The wind only tests the strength of the kite. If the knots are weak, even the finest kite will fall." Arshman lowered his gaze. Deep down, he knew his grandfather was right. He had rushed. He had been careless. But admitting it was hard. Grandfather placed his hand gently on Arshman's shoulder. "Let me tell you a story," he said. "There was once a craftsman in our village who built a wooden bridge across the river. People admired his work. But the first storm came, and the bridge broke. Everyone laughed at him. Some said, 'You wasted your time.' But the craftsman did not quit. He studied the broken wood, strengthened the joints, and built again. The next storm came, and again the bridge broke. The people mocked him more, but he still did not quit. Each time, he learned something new, where the wood was weak, which knots needed tightening, which beams needed support. At last, his bridge stood strong. Storms came and storms went. But the bridge did not fall. People finally realized his failures were not his enemy. They were his teachers. Grandfather's eyes softened. "Do you see, Arshman? Failure is not the end. It is the beginning of learning. The wind that breaks you is the same wind that teaches you to fly stronger." Arshman stood silently. His anger melted into thoughtfulness. Grandfather handed him the broken kite. "Now try again. Fix it. Don't rush this time. Do it carefully. Every knot, every corner. Learn from what broke." At first, Arshman wanted to refuse. The laughter of his friends still echoed in his ears. But something in his grandfather's calm voice gave him courage. He sat down with the kite. This time, he moved slowly. He tied the knots tightly, pulling them twice to be sure. He smoothed the paper, patched the tiers with care, reinforced the wooden frame. His hands worked with focus, his mind replaying his grandfather's words. Some children passed by and laughed. Why waste time on something already broken? Get a new kite. But Arshman didn't answer. He kept working, quiet and steady. At last, the kite was ready. Arshman stood, heart beating fast. He held it up, let the wind catch it, and released the string slowly. At first, the kite wobbled. His stomach knotted with fear. What if it falls again, he thought. But then, it steadied. The frame held strong. The knot stayed tight. Higher and higher it rose, catching the wind that had once destroyed it. Arshman's eyes widened in wonder. A smile spread across his face. It's flying, it's really flying. His kite soared proudly, higher than before. The same wind that had brought it down now carried it upward, dancing among the clouds. Arshman whispered, almost to himself, "Failure didn't end me. It taught me how to fly again." Grandfather stepped beside him, watching the kite with quiet pride. "Yes, Arshman. Remember this always. The wind is not your enemy. It only reveals your strength. Failures are not the end. They are tests, shaping you to become stronger." Arshman nodded slowly. His heart felt lighter, wiser. The festival continued, children cheering and laughing. But Arshman no longer cared about winning or showing off. What mattered was that his kite, once broken, was flying high, and he had learned the secret of true strength. In life, the winds of challenge will always blow. Don't fear them. Learn, rebuild, and fly again. For every failure is not a defeat. It is a lesson, a step toward strength, and a chance to rise higher than before. The final shot shows Arshman's kite glowing against the golden sunset, steady and unbroken, and his grandfather smiles beside him,